get home, he goes, "Dang, I wanted to ask him this." Yes, sir.
What got you started? What was the moment that you remember that you struggled?
That's easy. If you were here, you weren't here last year, were you?
I was.
Okay, because I explained that's the most popular question. Eddie, how did you start and what got you into this? And I don't know if I can say this in 2 or 3 minutes, but it started with a puppy love heartbreak. Did you hear that? You guys didn't hear that?
No.
Where you been? 13 years old. 13 years old. I didn't know how to dance. There was a girl in my neighborhood that I had eyes for, you know. So I wanted to take her to the movie. So let me see if I can say this quickly. I invited her to the movie. She said, "Come to my house." She speak to my mom, and if she says it's good, we go to the movies. I go to her house, I knock on the door. She opens the door. She has the look of fright in her face. And I told her, "Renee, what's happening?" She said, "Eddie, I gotta talk to you." I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "My ex-boyfriend is here." She said, "I'm not going out with him no more. But he just popped up here, and I'm going to speak to my mom. I'm going to send him home, and if mom says it's okay, we'll go to the movies." So, of course, she brings me in. He's sitting on the sofa. I sit down. She introduces him to me, and you think he was happy to meet me?
No.
So here's what she does. Tension in the room. So she looks at me and goes, "Eddie, do you know how to dance the mambo?" I didn't have a clue, but I didn't want to look bad. So I said, "Of course." Little did I know she was going to put on music and ask me to dance. Oh my goodness. She puts on, I don't know, Eddie Palmieri or something. And I get up and I start dancing with her. People, it was my interpretation of mambo. So you can see her ex-boyfriend is sitting there. He's going like, I know he wanted to bust out laughing. And so here I am, stepping on her feet, looking all dumb. And then about a minute, because that's all it lasted, she said, "Wait a minute, Eddie. Let me show you how we dance, you know, the style that we do." So I sat down, and then he got up with her, and he started dancing. As soon as they started dancing, I started to see the coordination, you know, like the whole thing with a little partner work, a little bit of, you could imagine how I felt, right? I wanted to literally sink into the sofa and disappear. I felt so embarrassed. So then after that, here's what she tells me. She says, "You know what, Eddie? I want to go with my ex-boyfriend, and we're going to talk this out. I'm definitely not going to be with him anymore." He says, "Maybe you can try next week, and then it works out, we'll go out together." So she left me there with her mother. And her mother was really upset. She says, "How dare her invite you here and then leave with her ex-boyfriend?" And I played it off real cool, like it was no big thing. I said, "No, Mama, it's okay. It's okay. I know she's got to settle her things with her ex-boyfriend." So her mother, at least, she fed me some rice and beans, which I said, at least I got to pay the rice and beans out of the deal, you know? So when I left and I went home, the only thing that was on my mind and in my heart, I said, "I've got to learn this dance. I don't want this to ever happen to me again." My sister, an older sister, she knew how to dance. I drove her crazy. I said, "Sis," I told her the story. "Sis, you gotta help me out. She said, "I'm not a dance teacher." She says, "You gotta learn like we all learn, by watching and imitating, and that's the way we learn." Because back in the day, there was no teachers. There was no 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, none of that. So that's how I started. And now she would take me to house parties because I was very young, couldn't go to clubs, right? So I'd go to house parties and I'd watch everybody, and I would ask questions too. "Oh, how'd that go?" And so little by little, 10 years passed. After 10 years, I was already hanging out with the bad boys. You know, I was in with the in crowd, the black belts, right? Because I think I spent more time trying to learn, and so with such dedication that I really made it a mission. So one night, after I leave the regular clubs, this was a club that I used to go to every Sunday called the Corso, which is in Manhattan. It used to be on 86th Street. This became known as the Second Palladium. When the Palladium closed down, they opened up this club called the Corso, and all the musicians and all the dancers from the Palladium would start going there. So when I was old enough, I started going to the Corso. So one night after I finished coming out about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I went and I got something to eat, and then I went into an after hour. The after hours used to open up at 5 in the morning, right? And when you go into these after hours, it was like the bachata rooms today, pitch black. UV lights, and you could hardly see her except. And then that night of all nights, I was all dressed in white. I had a white shirt, white pants, white shoes. And while I'm dancing, I look like a light bulb in the middle of the floor, right? Because the UV lights would light it up. And so my sister was there with me, and my sister knew the story. So all of a sudden, I'm dancing, and my sister grabs me off the floor. She goes, "Eddie, you're not going to believe who's here." I said, "Sis, you just interrupted my flow, man." She said, No, this is too good to be true. I said, "Who?" She goes, "You know that girl that broke your heart?" I said, "Don't play like that." She says, "I am dead serious. She's here." She knew my sister, and when she spoke to my sister, she says, "Who's that guy dancing?" And my sister, she was a street savvy girl. She goes, "Oh, I know him. Would you like to dance with him?" And she probably told my sister, "Yeah, I'd like to dance with him." So that's when she came over, grabbed me by the hand, and then she takes me over to the table where she was sitting. And you could actually see face to face, so you got this close. And when she sees it, she goes, "Renee, meet my brother Eddie. Eddie, meet Renee." You could imagine the look she had on her face, right? So people, here's what I thought at that very moment. I said, "Oh my God, this is my opportunity to make up for that mess I did 10 years ago in her house." And I says, maybe if I dance with her and she likes the way we dance, maybe now I could still take her to the movie. So I started asking her to dance with me, and she just refused. I have a feeling she thought I was going to take her on the floor and embarrass her. And what I really wanted to do was thank her. I said, "You were instrumental to help me now learn about the dancing." I said, by no means did I want to embarrass her. I wanted to seriously dance with this girl, and then ask her, "You think we can go to the movie now?" No? So I'm standing there 5 minutes, practically begging her, and my sister's there like this. And after a few minutes, she says, "Bro, don't beg her. Come on, I'll dance with you." So I got on the floor and I told her, "Sis, you don't understand. I got to give this closure. I got to really dance with this girl. This is the girl that, the reason why I've learned to dance, and I got to dance with her and thank her." I went back to ask her again. Apparently she took her pocketbook and she left. Until today, I have not seen her. You know? And if I do see her, all I want to do is say, "Renee, thank you," because you might think it was a bad thing, but I think God had that plan already in my destiny to meet you, to go through that experience, because if it wasn't for that, I may not have ever even known that I had some talent for the dance, you see? So I knew that what I had was gratitude for that situation. But until today, I have not seen her. But that's how I got started, my friend.
She what?
No, because if she knew how I felt about everything, she would probably say, "Oh, so I should take credit for who you are." And it's true, right? But you know what? I believe God puts people in our path. When you're born for something, do you know that Tito Puente, when he was a little boy, he used to go around with sticks, beating on everything in his house, in school, in the street. And his mother thought he was a little loco. She said, "I got to take my son to a psychiatrist, and all he does all day." And then one day, they said a music teacher heard him playing. And she goes, "I want to meet your mother. I want to talk to her." So he took her to meet his mom. She goes, "Listen, what you have here is a prodigy. He has a gift for music. You need to put your son to take music lessons." And Tito told me in those years, his mom would pay $1/4 for a music lesson. $1/4. Now you know that's not today. So if it wasn't for that, who knows if Tito Puente would have become what he and accomplished what he did. So that's why I say, you see how things happen in life that sometimes you think it's a coincidence? No, I call it God incidents. Things that I believe happen by design for us to find our way and become, and because you know what, I believe that everyone on earth has a purpose. I really do. I believe that God doesn't just make things just at random for any reason. Everything has a purpose. I think the key in life is to find out what your purpose is. Yeah? Now, you probably know a lot of people like I do that are not happy with their job. Oh man, I hate this job, blah, blah, blah. And I say, man, you know what? I wish that we all would really know what we were put on this earth to do. Because we can't all be dancers, we can't all be musicians, we can't all be pilots, doctors, and so on and so forth. We have a purpose. One time, the name that I want you to remember, because this is the lady that was most instrumental. What you guys are enjoying today, the infrastructure, the timing, the theory, all that is accredited to this lady. Her name is June, like the month of June, Liberta. An Italian lady. She was a ballroom teacher who lived in the Palladium. Okay? Now, one time she took me to a social where they were dancing ballroom and they would also play some mambos in between the foxtrot and the lindy and all that. And I would dance with her because she had such a beautiful style from the Palladium. And so I remember people would come up to me and they would say, Eddie Torres, you know what? All of us here are so jealous of you. And these are people who are doctors, lawyers, professionals. And I said, why do you feel that way? He says, you know what? All of us here, most of us are frustrated dancers. We wanted to pursue a career in dance, but our mothers, our fathers said, no. You got to go to school and you got to become a lawyer or you got to become a doctor or an engineer. And so all of us here, we're well off, we make money, but our heart is still not filled because what we really wanted to do was the passion for the dance. We wanted to live that. And you are living it. So I said, so it's okay that I'm not a doctor or a lawyer, right? They said, Eddie, believe me, don't ever stop doing what you're doing because you were doing what you were born to do. And I realized, for me, I've had such a blessed career that I realized that's simply what I came to this earth to do. Because I had the vision for doing this after I learned. I had this vision of saying, man, why can't we have the Latin dance that we call Mambo and Cha-Cha-Cha? Why can't we see that on a real professional level and get the recognition as a classic dance, just like ballet, just like modern dancing, just like all the classics, jazz? I said, why can't the Mambo be recognized like that? And there's an interview, if you'd like to see it, it's on YouTube. Put Eddie Torres interview 1983, and it's in black and white. And the lady was asking me questions about what was my vision and how did I see the future. So you're gonna be surprised that everything that's happening today, I spoke about it back then. Because I told her, I said, I see that one day this dance is going to reach that level of professionalism, and there's gonna be a market for those who aspire to be a mambo dancer. Because remember, I'm talking to you about the 60s. When I used to even tell my mom, she said, Mio, what do you want to do? I said, Mom, I want to be a professional dancer. I want to work with Tito Puente. I want to travel around the world. I want to dance for a president. I want to do big things. She said, Mio, you better wake up. She goes, there's no market. There's no school. The schools in those years, you know what they were? Edie, Freddie Sayre, Arthur Murray. And I would go. I would go to those studios to see what they were teaching, and I see dancers going. And I said, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Because we're street dancers, and we have all this flavor. And I said, I was hoping to find somebody that would teach that. It didn't exist. It didn't exist. And so here's what I told my mother. I said, Mom, you know what? There's no market today, but with the help of God, I'm going to help create this market. I told her just like that. I have a vision for doing it. And she says, and you want to work with Tito Puente? I said, yeah. Because why? June Alberta, back in 1970, took me to a famous ballroom which is closed today. It's called the Roseland Ballroom. It's in Manhattan, but it's no longer exists. She took me there because there was a famous team. I don't know if you've ever heard of Augie and Margot. Augie and Margot. This was the team. Let me tell you a little bit about them. They were the team. They danced in the Palladium, and they decided to come out of the Palladium and go study ballet, jazz, flamenco, and they became professional dancers who actually toured around the world, and they danced for not one, they danced for 3 presidents. They were on the Ed Sullivan Show, and if you were on the Ed Sullivan Show, you made it, because not everybody got into that TV program, Ed Sullivan. And I said to myself, when I saw them perform with Tito Puente in the Roseland Ballroom, I said, that's exactly what I want to do. Okay? So, Tito Puente would play at the Corso almost, when he wasn't traveling, almost every time on Sunday, he would play at the Corso, along with Machito, Pacheco, all the greats. And so, I would dance in front of Tito every time. And I'm dancing with my heart out. And I would always say hi to him, and I would always give him a compliment and say, Tito, I just love your music, man. I said, what a thrill it is to dance to this band. One day, when I said hello to him, he said, come here. He said, let me ask you a question. Have you ever considered doing your dance at a more professional level? And I said, I can't even believe he's asking me that. I said, Tito, you know what? You want to know something? I saw Augie and Margot perform with you at the Roseland. My dream is to one day perform with your orchestra with you. You know what he said? He says, do you have an act? Do you have a partner? I said, no. He said, well, that's what you have to do. He says, you have to find a partner. You have to choreograph some numbers. And who knows? He said, maybe one day it might happen for you. So here I'm going to cut from that conversation to 8 years later, where I meet while I was teaching in a recreation center in the Bronx called Roberto Clemente. It was dedicated to that baseball player, Roberto Clemente from Panama. It was called the Roberto Clemente State Park. Right?
Bobby Clemente is from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Look at that. So, as I walk into this place, this is truly a movie. So if you have any movie writers here, write this down, because I know this has to be a movie. I walk in with my friend, this guy named Jackie, and this had a balcony. The moment you walk in, it has this balcony where you look over and you see people doing karate, gymnastics, basketball, all these activities. And I said, man, what a cool thing. And what was really cool was the government would pay the instructor to teach, and the people did not have to pay. It was free. The idea was to try to keep the kids off the street, keep them out of trouble. So as I look over the balcony, there's a group of gymnasts sitting down talking, and there's Maria. Maria was there sitting there with her little cute shorts, and I looked at her and I said, Jackie. I said, you see that young, fine girl out there? He said, which one? I said, the finest one right there. I said, look at her. He said, yeah, what about her? I said, that's my future wife. I told him just like that. And he looked at me, yeah, you keep on dreaming. All right? So now I start teaching. About a month or so, I'm teaching, and all of a sudden, because the door was open so people would see what we were teaching, all of a sudden I'm teaching, and as I look at the door, Maria's standing there like this. And she's checking out the class. My heart went boom, boom, boom. I said, oh my gosh, there goes my future wife. So you can imagine, I immediately ran over to her and said, hi, my name is Eddie Torres, blah, blah, blah. I teach salsa here. I said, are you interested in taking classes? She says, no, I dance. I'm a dancer. So when she said that, I said, oh, cool. I said, you mind showing me your style, how you dance? She said, yeah. So I put on some music, and now Maria reminded me of myself back when I was in the girl's house. She busted out with this. So I looked at her and I said, Immediately I said, this might be the ticket. I said, maybe if I teach her Who knows, maybe I'll get to know her. And then who knows? So I stopped her about a minute or so, just like the girl stopped me. I said, hey, we're going to sit down for a minute. Let me show you what I'm teaching here. So I was already working with the students, so we're doing Suzy Q, Cupid step. And then when she saw that it wasn't this, I think instead of trying to impress her, I think she got embarrassed. So she got up and she goes, thank you. I said, so would you like to come and take classes? No, I'm busy right now. I have to go to school, blah, blah, blah. I just think she walked out embarrassed. So after that, I started to try to talk to her again, but I didn't see her anywhere. So I asked people, do you know where that girl who teaches gymnastics, the little girl? And they said, oh, Maria. I said, yeah, where is she? They said, oh, she's in college. She went away to college. So months go by. After maybe, 5-6 months, boom, she comes through the door again, and she came in this time with this attitude. I want to learn this. I said, well, when I saw the way she danced, I said, this might be a big challenge for me. But little did I know, Maria was dancing since she was 4 years old. She knew how to do tap dancing. She did jitterbugs. She did jive. She did hustle. The only dance she didn't know was the mambo. So as I started to teach her, she was like this. Talk about quick study. Maria, if I threw 10 steps at her, she'd pick them up like that. And then I said, oh my God, this girl's so talented. Because I did not know that she was already a dancer, but just not in mambo. So as I started working with her and I started to see how quick she'd pick up, one day I sat her down and said, Maria, I have a dream. I have a vision. I have something I'd like to do in life. I said, I would like to train you if you're interested, and perhaps maybe we can have an opportunity to perform with Tito Puente. And she looked at me and she goes, who's Tito Puente? I said, you don't know who Tito Puente is? She goes, no. Okay. What do you think? And Maria said, let's do it. So I started teaching her privately, and I started teaching her choreography. The number you saw in the screen, that was Maria's first number. That's called Palladium Days by Tito Puente. And then I also taught her a cha-cha. The title is El Cayuco, right? You know it? I taught her El Cayuco and I taught her Palladium Days. And I mean, she learned both of them in like less than 6 months. She was really, truly talented. So when I saw that she was ready, I said, Maria, tonight I want you to go with me because Tito Puente is playing in Manhattan at a little place called Christopher's. So I want to approach him with you, and I want to let him know that I have a partner, and if maybe there's any chance that he can give us a few minutes to audition and see if he likes it, maybe he'll give us a chance to perform with him in some concert. So we go to the club, and I got there, and the band was there, but Tito had not gotten there yet. So I'm sitting there waiting for him. And then he walks in, he goes, say hello, he says hello to the band, he starts warming up, and while he's doing that, I approached him very nervously. I said, hey Tito, he said, yo, what's up? I said, you remember me? He said, how can I forget you? I see your face every week at the Corso. Because I was dancing every week in front of him. I said, Tito, I don't know if you remember, years ago we had a conversation and you said that if I had a partner and put together an act, maybe you'd give me a chance to perform with you? He said, yeah. I said, well, this is Maria. I said, and I choreographed 2 of your tunes, El Cayuco and Palladium Days. Is there any chance that maybe I can meet you somewhere and give you an audition? And he said, just like this, he said, I'll be honest with you, Eddie. I'm a very busy man. I'm traveling a lot. And he said, I may not have time for that, but I'm going to do something else for you. I'm going to introduce you to my musical director, this Italian guy named Jimmy Frisaura, was the guy that directed the band for him. I said, you're going to explain to Jimmy exactly how you want this tune played. If you want it exactly like the record, bar for bar, explain it to him. And in my next concert, which was going to be like 2 months later, I'm going to feature you and Maria. And then I turned around and said, Tito, you're going to put me on stage and let me perform with you without seeing the routine? And he says, Eddie, I've been watching you dance for a long time. I know you can dance. how bad could it be? He says, if it's good, who knows? Maybe it turns into something, and if not, there you had your opportunity to perform with me. I said, okay, that's good, that's fair. So we got ready. We debuted in a place that's now called, anybody here from New York? Alice, you must know this, Jazz at Lincoln Center on 57th Street. Back in the day, in 1979, it used to be called the New York Coliseum. Now, I did not know. I thought we were going to go into a place where they have a stage like Roseland. This was a center for big exhibitions like the Javits Center. It was a huge. When I walked in there with Maria, and you literally saw thousands of people because the room was bigger than this space here. And when I walked in there and I saw all these people, I got very, very nervous. I said, oh my God, Maria, look at all these people. We're going to debut here with Tito Puente in front of all these people. What they were having, by the way, was called a Latin Expo. They had all these Latino products, and they would give people samples, like coffee and all the Latino products. So I go to the back and I find Tito. I say, hey Tito, we're here. He says, get dressed. He said, I'm going to play 2 numbers, then I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to play another 2 or 3 numbers and bring you out again for the second number. I wish you were there to see how I drove my wife crazy. I'm dressing up, I'm saying, Maria, you don't understand, Maria, we gotta rock this thing, Maria. She said, calmate. She said, come on, relax, it's gonna be fine. But I was nervous. I said, yeah, because you don't even know who Tito Puente is, so it doesn't matter to you. I said, but this is it, this is right here, a life-changing situation for me. So sure enough, Tito plays 2 tunes, and he was so funny. He says, ladies and gentlemen, I have a surprise for you. He says, I have a dancer who dances every week at the Corso, and he's been looking for the opportunity to perform with my band. And he says, and he choreographed these 2 numbers, and this is such a surprise that I myself haven't seen it. He told the people, I don't even know what he's gonna do, but I want you to receive them with a warm round of applause. So he introduces Eddie and Maria. So we come out, Maria's on one side, I'm on the other side, and he starts to play El Cayuco. We come out. I choreographed it like a jazz improvisation. So and we're doing this number, and every time I would spin, I would look at Tito and he'd be like, and I started to think, maybe he likes it. Later I found out that's how he always played. Always had a smile on his face. So we danced Cayuco, the people responded nice, they applauded, blah, blah, blah. And he says, okay, they're gonna come back later and do a mambo for you. We went back, we changed into that red jumpsuit that you saw. We got dressed with that, we came back out, he introduced us, and we did Palladium Days. So for those of you who know Palladium Days, it's up-tempo mambo. And we were on fire. Maria's spinning, her jumping over her, rolling my head. And at the end, the crowd was like, yeah, and Tito. So I said, okay, we finished. The crowd received us beautifully. I went back to get dressed. I said, I can't wait to go out and ask him what he thought about the show. When I came out, a few of the band members were there. Tito had left. So the director was there, Jimmy Frisell, and I said, Jimmy, where's Tito? He said, Eddie, he had another commitment, he had to run. I said, oh man, I wanted to ask him what he thought. I said, do you think he liked it? He said, well, I don't know. He said, I liked it. He said, when you see him at the Corso, ask him. I said, okay. So Sunday came, I was at the Corso, there's Tito, I was with Maria, dancing in front of him. I was too afraid to ask him. I really was. Because I said, man, if Tito says, it was okay, you had your shot, it ends here. I was really, really afraid to ask him, so I didn't ask him. He said hello, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is Sunday. Monday, the next day, he was playing in another place in Queens. Back in the day, I don't know if some of you remember the Pan American Airlines. Back in the day. So there was a hotel called the Pan American Motel. And he would play there on Mondays when he wasn't traveling. So sure enough, I got in my car with Maria. We shot to Queens and we went to where he was playing. So when I go in and I see him, he said, "Hey, Tito." And he said, "Wow, Eddie, if I would have known you were coming here tonight, I would have asked you to perform your 2 numbers tonight with Maria." And I went, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll be right back." I went to my car and I opened the trunk, took my outfits out. And then I go to him and I said, "Tito, by coincidence, I happen to have my costumes." He said, "Oh, really?" "Yes." He said, "Get dressed. We'll do the same as before. I'll play 2 numbers, you perform another 2 or 3 numbers, you perform." So this is how I started my career with Tito. I followed him like a puppy. He would play in Long Island, I drive to Long Island. He would play in the Bronx, I go to the Bronx. Everywhere he went, and then it got to the point where he would see me, he goes, "Do you have your outfits in the trunk?" I said, "No, Tito, actually I have them right here." He said, "Get ready." And then one night I remember we were someplace in Long Island and he tells me, he says, "You know, Eddie, the moment I got here, people came up to me and the first thing they asked me was, 'Tito, are your dancers here tonight with you, Eddie and Maria?'" He says, "The people are really starting to like you guys." I said, "Tito, you don't know what a dream come true it is for me to be doing this with you." So little by little, one thing led to another, until one day he says, "Eddie, let me have your telephone number." So I wrote my number on the card. I said, he probably will never call me, right? So one day I'm in my house and my mother says, "Eddie." I said, "What, Mama?" She goes, "Tito Puente is on the phone. He wants to talk to you." I said, "Mama, don't play like that." She goes, "No, mijo, for real. He says he's Tito Puente." So I grabbed the phone. "Hello? Yo, Eddie, this is Tito." The way he talked. And I knew the way he did. He says, I got a gig going to Philadelphia next weekend. Do you think you'd like to go and perform there?" I said, "Tito, just name the place and time and I'm there." Right? So one thing led to another. "Hey, yo, Eddie, I'm doing something at the Madison Square Garden at the Apollo Theater." And one thing got bigger and better. And then I remember after a while he would tell me, "You know, Eddie, I need to start paying you for your performances." And I said, No, Tito, I don't want no money. It's not about money. It's the honor just to have the privilege and the pleasure of performing with you in your orchestra." So he said, "Okay," for about a year. Then after about a year, I go to perform with him. He says, "Eddie, tonight I'm going to pay you." And I said, "No, Tito, I told you I don't want no money." Here's what he tells me. He says, "Here, I'll tell you what, Eddie, if you do not let me pay you for your performance, you cannot work with me anymore." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you are now a professional dancer. And being professional means you get paid for your services." He said, "So if you don't want me to pay you, that's it. You can't perform with me anymore." So I jumped up and said, "Tito, you could pay me back pay for the last year too." I said, "Now that you said that, you owe me a year's worth of pay." And he started laughing. He said, "I like you." I said, "Yeah, baby, we're from the barrio, you know what I'm saying?" So that's how my career started taking off with Tito Puente, which, by the way, when my mother saw this, she goes, I started working with Tito. We got a chance to perform for President Bush, the father. Yes. And check out who was on the billing. We performed at the Ford Theater in Washington where they shot President Lincoln. That was the Ford Theater. It was called Fiesta at Ford's. They had Jimmy Smith, the actor, and Ricardo Montalban, the MCs. On the billing, Celia Cruz, Arturo Sandoval, the famous trumpet player from Cuba, Barry Manilow, Rita Moreno, Vicky Carr, Tito, myself, Paul Rodriguez. It was an all-star cast. And you know, the funny thing is, before this gig, twice they had called me up and said, "Eddie, we want to invite you to perform with Tito because President Clinton or something will be there, and the president never showed up. So this was already the third time that somebody's calling me to invite me to perform with the president. And so the guy's on the phone, he says, "Is this Eddie Torres?" I said, "Yeah." "You're known as the Mambo King?" I said, "Yeah, I'd rather be the Burger King because I could probably get free hamburgers." I said, "The Mambo King would do squat for me, you know?" So I said, "We'd like to invite you for an all-star cast with Tito Puente to perform for President Bush." I said, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the third time they tell me that we're gonna perform for president, and the president never shows up. So besides that, I'm gonna be involved in the Puerto Rican Day Parade, which happens to be today in New York." I said, "I have a contract with Goya to perform at the parade." So the guy says, wait a minute, is this truly Eddie Torres?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "You mean to tell me you're going to give up the opportunity to perform with Tito for the president to be at a parade?" I said, "Yeah, because who knows if the president's really going to show up." I had no idea that this was the real deal. So I said, "Listen, first I have to speak to the director, the guy that hires me from Goya, and I'll ask him if I can send my dancers to the parade, and if I can go, and do this. And if he says yes, then we have a deal." So I spoke to the guy and I said, "Listen, they're inviting me to perform with Tito." At first he said, No, I have you on contract. If you break the contract, I'm going to sue you." This guy named Rafael Toro from the Goya. So I said, "Damn, Ralph," I said, "this could be a once-in-a-lifetime deal." He said, "Eddie, I'm just messing with you, bro." He says, "Of course you have to go. You're going to represent us, Latinos, in the White House or dancing for president. That's a beautiful thing. Go ahead and really do your best." So I called the guy back. I said, "You guys lucked out." I said, "The guy gave me permission. He got me off the hook. I'm going to send my dancers and I'll go." Now, when I confirmed it, a week later, I received, which I still have in my house, an envelope, an invitation with the president's seal on it. "You are formally invited." And when my mother saw that, she goes, "Mio, this is the real deal. Look at this invitation with gold leafing and everything." And I was like, "Oh my God, Mom, this is one of my dreams come true." So I get there, and then I find out that Vanessa Williams is there, Barry Manilow, and I'm hanging out with all these great artists, and I'm saying, "My God, this is truly a dream come true." Okay? And I remember Tito had just arrived from a 16-hour flight, and he didn't know whether night was day or day was night. He was totally jet lagged, and he got there like this. He said, "Eddie, I am so tired, but we're gonna do this." Okay? So I remember they took him to the back and they blew out his hair. They put a Versace, this is on YouTube, you can see it. They put a white Versace jacket on him. He really looked like a king. He really looked so distinguished, So we're here in this theater, but before we went to the theater, that afternoon they invited all of us to take a picture with the president in the White House. And I'm living this, and I'm saying, "My God, this is like a dream, really. I'm living in a dream now." So I remember one by one, we were standing on line, and there's Barbara Bush and George Bush Sr., and we would walk up to him one by one, shake his hand, and take a picture. So I'm right behind Tito. If you knew Tito like I knew Tito, he was the biggest comedian. He loved telling jokes, and he was like Dennis the Menace. He was always doing something that was like, "Oh my God, only Tito could do that." He walks up to the president like this. He goes, "Mr. President, my name is Tito Puente, and I am the Goodwill Ambassador for Latin music around the world." And President Bush looks at me and says, "Mr. Puente, you need no introduction with me because I'm a big fan of you." He said, "Really?" He said, "Yes, I like your music very much." You know what Tito told me? He says, "Oh yeah? Okay, I'll tell you what, Mr. President. Tonight, after the show, if you play your cards right, I'm going to give you an autographed picture of myself." And I'm standing there, and everybody in the room is going, "Only Tito could talk to somebody like that. Here he is with the president. He's hanging out like he's from the Bronx." Yeah. He says, "If you play your cards right, I'm going to give you an autographed picture." The president looked at me and says, that would be an honor, sir. He tells Tito, that would be an honor. He said, all right, let's see how things go tonight. By the way, the picture I took with the president is also on YouTube. You can see it. So here we go. Dancing with Tito. That's like a bucket list, right? That happened. Dancing for a president. That happened. Traveling around the world. That was another thing I wanted to do. And I've been traveling now for a lot of years. Dancing in all the prestigious halls in New York City. The only place that I did not perform with Tito was a place called Radio City Music Hall. But Apollo Theater, Lincoln Center, Madison Square Garden, Town Hall, everywhere that had a name. You know what they say about the Apollo Theater, Edie? They said, if you haven't danced at the Apollo Theater, you haven't danced nowhere. That means you're nobody till you perform at the Apollo. So that makes me feel good. Why? Because I performed 5 times at the Apollo Theater, okay? We did a tribute to Mandela, a tribute to Charlie Palmieri, which by the way was for me something fascinating because I had the idea, I don't know if you know Charlie Palmieri was Eddie Palmieri's brother, piano player. So I had the idea, since it was a tribute to him, I wanted to dance on top of a piano, a baby grand. And I did. I performed in the middle of the number. I stood there like a statue until the solo came in, and I started dancing on the piano. And this piano had wheels. And the piano's got me going back and forth. And I said, oh my God, don't let me fall. Because I started thinking, what if one of the legs breaks and I go bakadoon and this turns out to be a disaster, right? So it was about maybe a half a minute dancing on the piano. And then when I jumped off the piano and I hit the stage, you can imagine how happy I was. I said, I survived dancing on a baby grand piano, all right? Now, irony of life. No problem, right? I dance on the piano. How cool could that be? Now, in another number, I'm dancing with this dancer that was in my group called the Lil Thomas. We're doing like a 2-guy, like the Mambo Ace type of thing. In the middle of the number, I almost slip and fall on stage. And I said, isn't that a trip? I dance on the baby grand piano, no problem. Here I am on the stage, and I almost fall and bust my butt. I said, that's how life is. But anyway, I'm going to be quiet now. You have any more questions? I mean, I could go on because I have stories forever.
At what point was it that you and Maria actually started your romantic relationship?
From the moment I walked in and looked over that balcony, Jonathan, the moment I saw something inside of me just went, phew. You know, it's hard to believe in love at first sight, right? But something about Maria, there was such an attraction. It was something that it's hard to even explain. Later on, I find out that Maria and my mother were both born on the same day. They're both Aries, and they were both born on March 25th. So now I've been with Maria 40 years, right? And we've been through everything, all the ups and downs. Nobody tell me that every marriage is smooth sailing. No. Especially, you know, to be a dancer and to be in the scene, you guys know, there's a lot of temptation, right? Now, let me interject a joke. So Tito tells me one day, he said, Eddie, you won't believe this. I said, what? He said, now that I'm a senior citizen, I'm 77 years old, the young girls, they fall in love with me and they want to have sex. Don't you believe that? I said, really? He says, yeah. And you know what I tell him? I said, darling, that's quite flattering that you want to have sex with this old man. But I tell you, I'm going to tell you this. You know that little blue pill they call Viagra? He said, when I take it, the only thing that happens is I walk around like this all day. That's the only thing that gets hard. He said, I can't help you. He said, this is what Viagra does to me. Every time I think about Tito, I laugh because I remember all the funny things he would say. So where was I? back to Maria. I really, really worked hard to try to get Maria to be with me. Because she wasn't an easy catch. Maria was not an easy catch. She was beautiful, talented, she had a lot going, so 2 years, Maria, yes, Maria, come. No. I'm here, yes, please. So there's another girl I met after trying to really work this out, Maria. Another girl that I met, her name was also Maria. And this girl, she was like head over heels with me, and she says, after I started seeing her a few times, she said, Eddie, I want you to come live with me in Brooklyn. I said, what? I said, yes. She goes, I really want to be with you. And one day I told that to Maria, I said, Maria, you know what? I've been trying to get you to go out with me for now 2 or maybe 3 years. So you've been saying no. There's another Maria that would like for me not only to go out with her, she wants me to live with her. So one day I'm in my house, Maria comes to the house and she says, come here, I need to talk to you. She took me inside the bathroom and she locked the door. And I said, oh my God, what are you gonna do? My wife is 4'11", but she's a pit bull. She's a pit bull. I'd rather fight Mike Tyson than messing with Maria. She's tough. She's really tough, okay? She sat me down. I'm sitting there like waiting for her to pull out a knife or something. And she goes, I'm gonna tell you this. You ain't going no Brooklyn with that other Maria. She goes, I've been in love with you from the first day. But I wanted to make sure that this wasn't gonna be a one-night thing and one of those, play with my feelings. She goes, you belong to me.
Man.
I said, Maria, you can imagine how I felt, right? I had 2 feelings. I was like, oh my God, she likes me. But I wanted to stick her head in the toilet bowl. I said, you made me suffer these 2 years. And all this time you really, she says, from that, when I met you, Roberto Clemente, I knew something had happened there that was really something real in my heart for you. But I didn't just want to, go right away and say, oh, I'm yours too. Which is kind of cool. It's kind of cool, So now 40 years, through the fire, through ups and downs, all kinds of things, and I discovered this. Sometimes we think that, as a matter of fact, people, you know how sometimes you tell people, I've been married 40 years, they say, what? You still in love with that girl? Are you still in love with him? I say, I'm going to tell you the truth. Here's what I found out about love. If you stay with somebody and you really love them, after many years, it gets more real, more stronger, to the point where sometimes I'm thinking something and Maria just blurts it out. She picks up my thoughts and I say, Edie, I said, oh my God, I better be careful what I'm thinking. Because like I'm about to ask you something. She goes, the black socks are in the top drawer. And every once in a while she does that. She just picks up my thoughts. And they say after so many years, 2 become 1. Check this out. Celia Cruz and her husband Pedro Knight, they were married, who knows, 50, 60 years. When Celia Cruz passed away, because I remember we all went to her burial, and when I saw Pedro Knight, when I saw him as we were going, I told Maria, I said, Maria, I don't think Pedro's gonna last too long. Because they say that after you're together for so many years, when one leaves, the other one, out of just the yearning and missing and the brokenness of missing your lifelong soulmate or partner, you just feel like you give up on life. About a year or so later, Pedro passes away too, So Maria says, well, if that's true, I want to keep you alive for a long time. I said, honey, you better take care of me, because once I go, you're going to be right behind me.
How many kids do you have?
With Maria, 3. Yeah. And it's funny. Maria danced while she was pregnant throughout her whole pregnancy. As a matter of fact, you won't believe this. She was 6 or 7 months pregnant and we're performing at the Apollo. And always in the middle of our number, I would give her a little simple flip, right? So, of course, I'm dancing with her as it was already part of our act. Here she is with the baby. And I bring her in and I start to flip her. It was like slow motion, like, ah. And Tito said that his heart was here. He said, when he saw Maria was up in the air doing this flip, he said, oh my God. Because I should have never did that. It's good to dance, ladies, if you're pregnant, but don't do no flips and all that kind. And thank God she came down, she was fine. I think she enjoyed it more than I did. And we have children. I guess you know I have a daughter, Nadia Torres, who's a dancer. Been dancing since she's 3 years old. If you want to see her debut, she debuted in Puerto Rico with the Gran Combo in a television program called Salsa back in 1989. She did her first show. And I also have a son, Eddie Torres Jr., which at this moment now, I think a lot of the dancers that we expected to see here are not here because they're involved. They're filming that movie called In the Heights. They're filming it right now. And it's supposed to be a big name, like Warner Brothers, I think is the production company. So I'm really excited because my son said, Dad, they gave me the job as a choreographer, and people are telling me the movie's really going good, the dance scenes are really incredible. So I'm saying, man, I really hope that this movie makes it because it opens doors for all of us. You know, if the movie does good, we all do good. If the movie bombs out, it's not good for us.
Are they filming it
In New York, part of it's in New York. And you know, because it's called In the Heights because uptown Manhattan is known as the Heights. And I know the musical was a big hit in New York. Yeah, I heard that it went really well, got good reviews. So I'm hoping that the movie does even better. So I'm very excited for my son. Actually, they wanted me in the movies, but about 3 weeks ago, I got a serious bronchitis attack with asthma. And my son's telling me, Dad, they want you in the movie. They want you to dance. I said, Papi, I can't even breathe. If you saw me last night, I came off the stage, I was like, oh. Because unfortunately, I have diabetes and I have a heart condition. Yeah, and I've had it for 11 years now. But again, people are amazed. Even my doctor says, we don't understand how you can do what you do. You have congestive heart failure, you have diabetes, and you're supposed to have a pacemaker, a defibrillator. He says, you're amazing. I said, that's because God is in control. I tell them. I said, he's the one that calls the shots. And people tell me, how much longer are you going to dance? I said, until he says no. Yeah.
Question. So watching your son, it's truly you, it's you. So in your mind, do you have someone else that you think besides him that can replace you? To yourself.
You know what? Here's the funny thing. When my son, he's been dancing now, I think 10 years. When he first got the interest to dance, he came to me and he sat down real serious and said, Dad, I want you to be honest with me. Do you think I have what it takes to become a professional dancer? And I immediately, because he also studied music, he plays piano too, so he studied at the Celia Cruz School of Music. And since I saw him very young, I went to a recital that he was doing with some kind of modern ballet stuff, and I said, man, my son has talent. And I told him like this, I said, son, not because you're my son, I'm going to tell you this. I said, but I truly believe that God has given you a special gift for your dancing. And I believe, because he says, Dad, I want to be like you. I said, no, you're going to take your dancing to the next level. I said, because, I'm from last generation. I said, what you have is the kind of talent that is going to take it up to the next level. He said, really? I said, that's how I really think. I said, if I didn't feel that way, as much as I love you, I would have told you, no, my son, I don't think you have what it takes for the dance, right? So as I see him now and I see all the things that he's doing, he says, Dad, you were so right. He says, you believed in me and you saw something that I didn't see when I was aspiring to learn about this dancing. I said, yeah. I says, and also, Nadia, since she's been dancing since she's 3 years old, she's another young girl that has been born to dance. Nadia danced for about almost 19 years with my group with the dance company, and then one day she went to a Christian retreat, and she said she received Jesus Christ as her Savior. She heard the good news of the gospel, She says, Daddy, I love you, but now I'm going to dedicate my life to Jesus and to serving Him. And now she's in a church right here in the Bronx where they have a dance ministry, and she's the director of the ministry. So she's living her calling and her passion. And then she says, Dad, I'm doing this, but every once in a while, I'll dance with you also. So it's a double blessing because she does her church ministry, and then every once in a while, like right now, she's going to be with me at the New York Salsa Congress, right? And every once in a while, when I have some big shows, she says, I'll dance with you, Dad. No? So for me, I'm very happy because she's very happy. She's living the life that she believes that this is what she really wanted to do, right? So ask me how wonderful it is to share your passion with your family. I mean, really, when you can share the stage with your daughter, with your son, with your wife, I couldn't ask for more, people. I couldn't. But I tell people, I said, listen, some people even say, oh, I'm so jealous of you. I said, no, don't be jealous of me. You know why? Because I'm simply doing what I was born to do. I believe this is what I came to this earth to do. So don't be jealous when you see somebody doing something. Find out who you are and find your purpose and find your calling in life, and you won't have to be jealous of anybody. And I heard something beautiful one time where this lady says, listen, if you're a Puerto Rican and you see a Puerto Rican that's making it, if he rises, we all rise. If he's black, for the black people, if he rises, the whole black community rises. So don't look at it. Because the problem we have, and this is a sad thing that happens amongst Latinos especially, when one of us is making it, we want to tear him down. A guy named Felipe Luciano described it like this, and I thought it was a beautiful analogy. He said, you know how we are, Eddie? We're like crabs in a box, the Latinos. One crab is trying to get out the box, and then the other crab comes and he pulls him back down. Instead of letting that crab get out the box so that he could reach in and help another crab get out the box. You see? He says, that's the way we should be. Because right now, I've spent my entire life doing this, but I've also spent a lot of time helping others who aspired to become professionals. So that's important. If you make it, help somebody else. Because right now, I was waiting for an opportunity, and it came to me through Tito Fuente. So I'm very mindful of that. So in my career, I help dancers like, Frankie Martinez, Franklin Diaz, Adolfo Dacochea, and on and on. And it makes me feel good that I've helped these guys and I've been instrumental in helping to develop their dance career. So I tell this to young people, when you make it, don't forget where you came from and help somebody else also who wants to make it. Yes? Yeah? Now, I'm not sure how much time we had for this. Huh? Is it time yet, Jonathan?
You can do whatever you want.
I'm having a great time here, so if you want to spend a few more minutes with me, I'm down. Yeah? And it's funny because the first thing I said today, I was with my Italian friends. You saw them, they did shows last night and the night before. I love them too because they're beautiful, beautiful dancers and they're beautiful people. And I told them today I'm going to sneak out after my class and I want to go to Atlantis because I said I want to jump in the ocean. And then this morning they said, Eddie, you have a 1 o'clock history. But then when I looked, I said, that's okay, not even sunny out there, it's all right. I don't feel so bad. Because if it was a bright sunny day, I'd be like, yo, can we go talk at the beach, y'all?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
Do a history thing, let's go by the beach and have a cookout and everything. You know what I mean? Yeah? Anyway, I really thank Moshe and people who have the idea of having someone who's lived through history have these sessions to share history. And again, people, I haven't even begun to touch on all the experiences I've had. There's not enough time for that. That's why he says every year, I want you to come back and share more and more. I said, but you know what? Next year, don't ask me how it started because I don't want to repeat the same thing every year. I want some new questions, Edie, you've been around for quite a long time too. You're a veteran. What would you ask me that would be of interest for you to know?
I don't know if this has already been answered, but coming from Los Angeles, back in when did I start? 1993 or so, we danced on one, you know. So I've been teaching on one for 22 years. About 5 years ago, I switched to teaching on two.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
I changed my whole school, all my schools teach on two now. But when we get to the intermediate level, we switch to on one because we want to be able to dance with everybody.
Okay.
And so I always get this same question, and I hope you don't mind answering it.
If I could, I will.
Okay. How did on two start going backward on one and then two and then forward? You get that asked all the time?
All the time.
Right, and because a classic ballroom, classic mambo, they go 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and they hold the 1 and the 5, right? And then
Right.
you, New Yorkers, dance on 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, but you call it dancing on 2, when actually breaking forward on 6, you're actually dancing on 6. I get this asked all the time. Then why do they call it on 2 if you're dancing it on 1? And the guy is stepping back on 2 and going forward on 6. And I really don't ever have a good answer for them. Did you create that?
I'm going to answer that for you, and then I'm going to send you the bill. I get this all the time. First of all, in New York City, before I even knew anything about dancing on two, all right, the guys in the clubs, we call it now an etiquette. Everybody was doing it. It was just the thing to do. When you invite your partner out on the floor, the guy would not start back, which you know would be the 1, 2, 3. We would break forward because considering that we were the leaders, we would think we'd have to introduce the dance and bring the girl into the timing. Also, what I realize now, we use the first measure to give us a cue to begin into the timing. So instead of just jumping in there, we hear the music like 1, 2, 3, and like, or king, kong, first will be king, 5, 6, 7. So we started realizing that we needed to hear a cue of 4 beats to start breaking into the basic. So that became an etiquette. Meanwhile, this is really something. I danced for many, many years before I met June Liberta. And I had the experience that out of 10 girls in the club that I'd asked to dance, I would connect with maybe 5 of them. And then the other ones, it was like a tug of war. I said, why can't I click with this girl? You know? It was like oil and water, you know what I'm saying? Now, when June Liberta sat me down and started teaching me everything about dancing, she says, Eddie, you've been dancing on two all your life. You just didn't know it. First time I heard somebody ask me, Eddie, do you dance on two? I said, what, my 2 feet? I didn't know what they were talking about. Now, going back to the 2 and 6. Now, you know, as dancers, we count from 1 to 8. We call it a bar, from 1 to 8. But musicians, they count measures. If it's 4/4 timing, which is the timing that mambo is structured on, they count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 6 that we sometimes say, why 6? The 6 is simply the 2. Because if you count it in 4 beats, it's always 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6. Same thing, but that's breaking on 2. So I believe the whole idea of bringing it into a bar was to identify what we started calling men's timing and ladies' timing. So that we could start saying, okay, the men will go back, or we always start forward. So we go 5, 6, 7, back, 1, 2, 3, 5. And then that's also, rhythmically speaking, difference between that 2 and the one you're talking about in ballroom world. The rhythm in the ballroom is what we call quick, quick, slow. Quick, quick, slow. I was in Italy, and a guy named Pedro Gomez, he's watching me teach. You know who he is? And he says, Eddie, I finally figured out what's the difference between the 2, 3, 4 and the 1, 2, 3. I said, what? He says, the 2, 3, 4 is what we call quick, quick, slow. He says, but your New York style is quick, quick, quick. There's no slow. Because we override the 4 and the 8. We don't pause. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's always in motion. So he calls it quick, 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 and quick, quick, no slow. Quick, quick, quick. I said, I'm going to use that. I'm going to say, hey, there's 2 different 2s, the 2, 3, 4, and the 1, 2, 3. So to feel it, you go quick, quick, slow. Quick, quick, slow. Or quick, 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 no slow. Quick, 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 no slow. But going back to what I was saying, musically speaking, Edie, the 6 is simply the 2. And then June explained to me the reason why they call breaking on 2 is just when you get to 1, 2, you stop and you change direction. When you go 1, 2, stop. So she calls that 1 break and 1 break. That's where that terminology comes in, breaking on 2. Because you stop, 1, 2, go back, 1, 2, go forward, 1, stop, go back, 1, okay? So I don't know if that really answers your question, but remember what I said. The 6 is the 2. Also, the men, as an etiquette, we initiate the dance by going forward and leading the lady back. Simple as that. No big secret, no big psychology. It was just what we did in the clubs. When June Liberta taught me the timing and the theory, and you know how she got me to do this? Because she wanted to teach me to dance and to understand my dancing by dancing with timing and by learning how to compose shines or steps and give them names. She said, Eddie, you need to let me teach you music theory. Check out what she said. She says, you need to form a syllabus. And I said, June, what is a syllabus? I said, that sounds like syphilis. What is a syllabus? She goes, no, stupid. She goes, a syllabus is a list of steps with names. I said, June, first of all, how am I going to count numbers while I'm dancing? And how am I going to put a name to what I do? Because we're street dancers. Hey, what do we call this? Here's what she did. Now you're going to learn how the name Susie Q came in. She says, you know the step that you always do at the corso? I said, yeah. She says, in the ballroom dancing, we call that Susie Q. Susie Q, Susie Q. She goes, put that down. Number 1, I gave you the name for your first shine. The word shine, I learned it from her. I said, June, what is a shine? She goes, in the ballroom world, the steps, we call them shines. I said, why don't you just call it steps? She goes, that don't sound so cool. Shine sounds cool. That's all right, shines. Now, people, you can imagine, everywhere I travel around the world, when I hear 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, cross body lead, break on 2, shines, who do I think of? Meanwhile, I think most of the people that use this syllabus and this structure and this theory that we're applying, they don't even know it came from June Liberta. A lot of people say, oh, Eddie, you invented the 2. I said, no, I didn't. I have to share like I'm sharing now. This started with a lady named June Liberta, who was a ballroom teacher. She taught every dance from the ballroom, but her love was mambo. She would go to the Palladium every Wednesday, and she would dance. When I met June, Edie, at the Corso, the moment I saw this lady dancing, she's doing all these kooky things, I said, what? She might have been maybe 30 years already older than me. I started dancing with her. Now, before I met her, I would dance with all the ladies. Now the lady said, Eddie, you coming to the social? I said, nope, but my son's gonna come down and he's gonna wear you out. I said, I'm done. I've been dancing 40 years non-stop. If you danced every day for the rest of your life, you will not catch up to the hours that I put into the dance. Talk about a fanatic, Edie. They threw me out of school because everybody would go to school with books. I would go with my tape recorder. And during my lunch break, in the halls, in the park. They call my mother up. Miss Torres, I think you need to take your son to a psychologist. What's the problem? He has the academic skills. All he wants to do is dance. So they threw me out of one high school, and the one that I wound up in, which is the only option I had, was a vocational school. Now, let me say this. Everybody in my family, on my father's side, everybody's a mechanic. My father was a mechanic. His brothers were mechanics. Mechanics all over. My brother, mechanic. When they threw me out, my mother was the one who said, you better go learn a mechanical vocation, because that's what you do in this family. Everybody from your family is a mechanic. And I told Mom, no, I'm not going to be a mechanic. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to earn my living with my hands. And Mom turned around and said, well, what you going to do? You're going to earn a living with your feet? And then after she saw how my career took off, she goes, you son of a gun. I didn't know that you came to this earth to earn your living with your feet. I didn't know. I said, Mom, I knew it since I was a little boy that this is what I wanted to do. All right? So then I went to a school in Manhattan called Manhattan Vocational Technical High School. And I studied air conditioning.
86th Street?
96th Street.
96th, that way.
In the corner. I went there, and then people interview, why did you study air conditioning, Eddie? I said, because when I was dancing, I wanted to be cool. I said, that's why I studied air conditioning, because I wanted to be a cool dancer. So, here we go. All I can say is, God is good. Let me say that. God is good. I come from a family. There's always good and sad things in life, right? I come from a family where I lost my only brother and my only sister. My sister, unfortunately, she committed suicide at the age of 28. My brother, since he was very young, got into heroin, and I lost him to heroin. And one of the things that I realized as I was growing up and I saw the heartbreak that my mother was living with, because there were three of us, and my brother and sister, their life was a mess, all right? And here's another thing I want to say about what dancing has done for me. I remember growing up where there was always problems and fights and all kinds of bad things happening at home. And then I would go, when I would get like this, I would pent up all these emotions, and I would lock myself up in my room, and the next thing I know, I'm having an asthma attack. My mother would have to rush me to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. So one day the doctor told me, a good part of your problem with this asthma is not just allergies and stuff. He says, you are penting up all the emotions inside, and your body's reacting to it by giving you these asthma attacks. You have to find a way to vent, not keep it in. Find something that helps you get it out. So as I started dancing, and I realized when I would start having these emotions, I would go to the club and dance all night. Even when I came out, I would say, I feel good. I feel better. Then I started realizing, wait a minute, dancing is not just fun, it's therapy. It's therapy. And then anytime when I was going through a hard time, boom, you'd find me on the dance floor, dancing it out. And then one time, my brother and my sister, they were always, since I was the youngest, when we'd have a fight, my sister would beat me, she'd slap me, my brother would beat me and punch me, and then I would get asthma because I couldn't do nothing. So I said, doctor, what do I do? He said, you better learn how to fight. He said, when your brother picks a fight, kick his ass. When your sister comes to you with any nonsense, don't beat her too much, but give her some nice slaps. So I remember one time my brother came to me, we had some kind of beef, and I started studying boxing, a little bit of martial arts. I kicked his ass real bad. So much so that my mother, when she heard the ruckus, she thought it was my brother beating on me. One day she walked in and she saw me on top of my brother. Wah, wah, wah. You know what she said? Dale, do it, beat him. Beat his ass, because she saw how they always abused me. So then I realized after I beat them, I felt good. I said, no more asthma for me, baby. Because either I'll dance it off or I'll beat somebody up. Yeah, because the doctor told me if you hold it in, you're going to suffer. So if you can't beat them physically, at least vent it out. Say nasty things to them. Get it off your chest. Now, I'm not recommending you go around beating people up. I would rather say go dance it off. Do you identify with what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Has it been therapy for some of you?
Yes. Yes.
Thank God, man. I always tell people, because some people say, oh, dancing saved my life. I say, I can't actually feel that way. For me, the only thing that I can really say that's been the answer to my life is simply found in Jesus Christ. That's all I'm going to say. Jesus Christ. And one day I was really, really messed up. Oof. My mother took me to church. She goes, you need to know who Jesus, and you need to accept him as your personal Savior. And I'm not like my daughter. I don't live in church, and I'm not walking with the King, with the Lord, the way I should be. But I should be, and I hope that one day I wind up with my daughter in church, just serving the Lord. Because he's been the answer to my life. So I tell people, dancing for me has been a blessing. It has really helped me in many ways, but I wouldn't say it's my Savior. Mm-mm. And when people say, Ori, you're my idol, I said, I'm not comfortable with that idea. I don't want to be anyone's idol. The God that I believe in is jealous, and he doesn't want us to have idols. I said, I rather would like to think of myself as your friend, maybe as an inspiration, a mentor, a coach. That I don't mind being. But I tell people, with all respect, I don't want you to think of me as an idol. Okay? One of the things I'm really happy about is that I was born and I was raised in a very poor neighborhood, and my mother raised me to be humble, to be simple. She says, let the people love you. After it's all said and done, when you're no longer dancing, let them remember you as a cool guy that you are and a loving person that you are. And then on top of that, if they say, not only was he a cool person, but he was a pretty good dancer. She says, as opposed to saying, if you're not a good person and you're going around with this ego, thinking that you're all that, they might say this about you. In Spanish, they might say, ese come mierda, bailaba bien. You know what I'm saying? She said, ese come mierda, bailaba bien. She goes, you don't need to have people think of you that way. One time they asked the singer, Ismael Rivera, the beautiful singer from Puerto Rico, Ismael Rivera. They said, Ismael Rivera, in a few words, who is Ismael Rivera? This is actually, if you look it up on YouTube, you can see this. And he said, yo soy un negrito chévere. He said, because you know, Ismael Rivera had a serious drug problem. He was a drug addict. Yeah. We've lost a lot of great artists to drugs. I guess you know that. But Ismael Rivera, where would he hang out? In the neighborhood, in the ghettos. He was a real down-home person, and they loved him in Puerto Rico. Just like they loved Hector Lavoe. With all his craziness, with all his life. But you know, Hector would always get late to the gigs. Always. Not one time would he show up on time. And then the people would be like this. Who wants to wait for an artist for 2 or 3 hours? But he would grab the mic, and the moment he started singing,
It's worth it.
everything was good. He was forgiven. That's how much they loved him. Because he had a special talent for his singing, and he had that kind of personality that would make you forget anything wrong that he did. Unfortunately, you know, as you know his life story, they did a movie on him and everything. I can tell you stories about Hector that you just won't believe. One of the things I realized also, besides working with Tito Puente, I've had the good fortune of sharing the stage, projects with a lot of the great artists who have, some of them have gone on, like Celia, Tito, Machito. Does anybody know who Mario Bausa is? You know? Nope. I know Armando knows. Armando, ¿quién es Mario Bausa?
But I mean, he did play trumpet, but he was the musical director for Machito.
Mario Bausa was the band leader and the one who would write and conduct all the music that we heard from the Machito Orchestra. Now, if I say Machito, a lot of you know that name, right? But the genius behind that band was a Cuban band leader by the name of Mario Bausa. And one time I'm having lunch with him and I said, Mario, I have a question. Why didn't you put your name when you came from Cuba with your band? Why didn't you put your name, Mario Bausa, and his Cuban or Afro-Cuban also?
Afro-Cuban.
He said, Eddie, because when I came from Cuba, I did not want fame. I didn't even want attention. I wanted to just be in the background, writing and conducting my music. And I told Machito, listen, I'm not interested in none of this fame stuff and nothing. He says, titles that don't mean nothing. He says, at the end of your career, a title just bites you in the ass. He said sometimes it's more of a headache than anything when you have a title, because then everybody wants your title, and they make a big deal and people start being jealous because you're called the Mambo King. He said, titles don't mean squat. And I said, you know what? I realized that's true. I walk into a store and I say, I'm Eddie Torres, the Mambo King. And they say, well, sir, that's cost $9.99. They don't give me discounts. I said, I should have been the Burger King because maybe I could have gotten free hamburgers. You see what I'm saying? So there's no real benefits. And everybody wants a title. I said, there's nothing wrong with it. But if a title starts changing you from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde or vice versa, it's doing wrong. I said, I find that's one of the problems today. I knew dancers, when they first started dancing, they danced with everybody. They were really cool, nice, down-home people. And now they have a title, they're famous. So I see some of them now, they stand by the bar with the shades on. And a lady walks up to them, excuse me, may I have this dance with you? And they bring the shades down, they go, are you crazy? I said, what happened to that humble, cool cat who used to dance with everybody? Now that you're a little famous, you got recognition, now you're too good to dance. Now they have to be black belts and red belts for you to take them on the dance floor. I said, you lost your way, my brother. You lost your way. I said, no matter how famous you get, no matter who you become, the best thing for you to do is try to be who you were before you got famous. If you were a nice person. Okay? Yeah. So people say, I take cocaine because it enhances my personality. I say, yeah, but what if you're an asshole? That means you become a bigger asshole, right? I said, people, that's why I love coming to this event, because every time I've been here, we're all hanging out. It's not about who you are, your title. I see people here just mingling and having a good time together. I said, this is my kind of environment, just to be with people who are just down home, not because you're famous and not because you have, a title or you're recognized. None of that, Because you know what? We are on a journey. Life is not that long. Life is not that long. We're here for a little while, and then we leave. So I tell people, you know what? When you start getting this ego, people, they're going to stop liking you. And at the end of your career, and when it's time for you to go, they're going to say, ese come mierda bailaba bien. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're going to say. That asshole danced nice. And I said, no. I said, you know what? There's nothing more beautiful. And I tell the young dancers, I said, listen, you can do two things with your dancing. You could create unity or you can create division. Choose. Which one do you want to do and what do you want to do with your talent? I love creating unity. I really do. I love to see dancers, and Edie, you know this because they ask me all the time, Eddie, in your opinion, don't you think that the two is better than one and the New York style is better than LA or Puerto Rico or Cuban? I said, don't even try to get me involved in none of that nonsense. I said, my mother used to always tell me, mijo, al gusto se hicieron los colores. Which means God made all the different colors and you can choose the color you like. I love red, you might love green, you might like blue, you might like yellow, you might like orange. Why should I criticize your color and say that my color is better than your color? No. I tell people, learn the timing, the style that you like, and don't worry about what people say. If they criticize you, you just go out there and have a good time because they're going to sit there all frustrated with their frustrations and their whole arguments about what's better. I said, no. I tell people, as a matter of fact, if I can go back to my youth, I'd probably spend all my time learning all the dances. All of them. I would learn how to dance on one. I'd go take class with Edie, and then I would share my two with you. I would learn Afro-Cuban, which I love, flamenco, jazz, hip-hop. I don't know if I would learn bachata. No, I gotta be honest. If I dance bachata, people, I guarantee you I would have to dance it on two. It would have to be on two. But you know what? I'll be honest. When I first started hearing, when bachata first started coming up, and I heard the music, I said, the music does nothing for me. I would hear all this giling. I said, wait a minute. I grew up with this beautiful orchestra, Tito Puente, Tito Rodriguez, and I said, the music just doesn't get to me. But now, it's been years since the bachata's been coming up now. Now as I watch it in the shows and I start listening to the music, something's happening. It's no longer that simple, just a little guitar, and it's starting to become something where now it's taking on different maturity. I see the arrangements now, it's not just guitars, it's now they're throwing horns in there. And then I start to see the movements. I say, wow, the movements in bachata, I don't know because they have different bachatas. You know that, right? I went to Italy and said, right, so you know that there's a bachata here called bachata porno? I said, what? What's that? Did they dance naked? They said, no, but it's very erotic. Let me share this with you. I'm in Portugal with Grisel Ponce. And I'm waiting to do a show. I sit down and I'm having a Coca-Cola. And I'm watching people dance kizomba. And I saw this guy literally for 5 minutes with his both hands on the girl's ass. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, that's kizomba? And then a few minutes later, one of the girls walks up to me and says, Maestro, will you dance a kizomba with me? And I looked at her and I said, honey, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I dance kizomba with you the way I see these people are dancing, we're going to have to get married. I said, why? Because today you get on the floor and 100 cameras come out, 100 cameras, and they film you. That's the one thing that I don't understand, because back in the day, we had no time for that. We were busy on the floor, sweating and having a good time. Nobody had cameras, right? But now, the moment you get on the floor,